I think it is just really, really helpful for some of us to be able to see this in action. Mary Kay Ash, there's a little bit of her public record excerpt. You can go back and look at that in a moment if you want, but I will pull something forward. And so Miss Mary Kay Ash had a birth date of May 12th, 1918, and she had 3 ones. She had 3 ones, which is, I think, really, really remarkable when you start to understand what the multiples of ones might have meant for her, and how she found her way around it, over it, above it, whatever you want, whatever language you want to use. And then, of course, we'll come back to Mary Kay's arrows once we move into that segment. Okay, so Mary Kay's birth chart highlights the number 1 on its own. Is really about self-expression. It's about self-expression and being able to explain sort of the inner experience that we are having. 1 on its own can reflect someone who is either having difficulty in verbally expressing themselves, or they can be very powerful speakers, especially if the subject doesn't involve personal feelings, right? So if they are technical speakers, they're probably excellent being able to articulate. But when it comes to, talking about how they're feeling or what they're thinking, or, what's troubling them, they might be stumbling a little bit there. Self-expression, mastery, maturity, and understanding is all a part of the 1. And it's all a part of the soul path for people who have a 1. So if you were born in the 1900s, you will, this is playing a role in your chart. How much, we'll see. That's we can determine that. So anybody that I've worked with has predominantly had this, because I've been working a lot with people in the 1900s. And now coming into the 2000s, starting to see how that plays out. So 2001, you would have had a 1 on your birth chart, right? Anyway, moving on. So this is Mary Kay talking about the 1, something difficult. She might have experienced a little bit of difficulty. Now, what's really interesting about the 1s is that with a single 1, there might be some difficulty in the personal expression, but they're strong in expressing, maybe speaking about their job or a subject that they're very interested in, very knowledgeable about. When you get into 2s, that difficulty seems to balance out a little bit. Still a little bit of trouble, maybe expressing from a self perspective, a feeling perspective, the inner feelings. And that really is kind of what happens with the multiples, is that wherever the difficulty is, the beam of balance will push up against that, right? So Mary Kay had 3 ones. She had 3 ones. And that would suggest that it would be likely that she would have had some difficulty expressing herself personally, self-expression, maybe talking too much, maybe talking too little, maybe not able to articulate herself and her feelings, or maybe going in the opposite direction, right? Again, I didn't know her personally, so I don't know. But what I can say is that she would have found her way around this in order to have started Mary Kay Cosmetics, right? To be able to tell the story of why she was starting it and to inspire women to be a part of this would have taken some degree of self-expression, right? I think she could have been very powerful as a speaker on the topic of the business and of inviting women in to be a part of the business. I think she probably would have excelled at that, because it wasn't about her feelings. It wasn't about, expressing who she was and what she was all about. It was about sort of more of that tactical or tactician type conversation. So that's a little bit about how the beam of balance kind of maybe pushed against her. She probably would have had to find her way around and overcome her hesitancy to speak about self-expression, at least, when she was trying to explain to people why why they needed to be a part of Mary Kay at the very beginning, right? As Mary Kay Cosmetics would have started to get its own foundation and footing, other representatives probably would have spoke more about Mary Kay's story than even she would have been. But so that's a little bit about Mary Kay and her birth chart. Did they find their way? I'm going to leave for you to decide that. Did they find their way? And are you finding your way? Are you finding your way? The universe buries strange jewels in each of us and stands back to see if we can find them. If you are finding yourself in a place where you'd like to be around other people who are talking about this kind of stuff, or you would like to get more, maybe some more intuitive insight from me on what you're finding in your numbers, reach out to me at my website, where you will find fast track guides and time bender series that break down your core number, your birth chart, your arrows, and your personal pyramids to find your peak pivot years.